You are listening to the Booktrospective Podcast, a podcast for all types of books. And even though we read all types of books across all different types of genres, we want to give a disclaimer. Many of our books and a lot of our content sometimes is intended for mature audiences. And we don't believe in censorship, but we do want our listeners to have the opportunity to decide if our episode or podcast is good for them. So with that, let's get into the episode. Hey, it's Dominique.
And Keely.
And you are listening to Booktrospective. This week we're covering Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas. We are almost done with the Throne of Glass series. I am happy, sad, but I am happy this book is done. So, but Keely, how has your week been?
My week has been okay, I guess, tiring because I'm doing the book bracket. And I keep meaning to schedule the polls for, the books. And I keep forgetting until last moment. Yeah, so I go to sleep later than I went to. And yeah, I'm tired. Last night, Peyton and I had a slumber party in the living room.
Aww.
And watched a scary movie.
I need to do that with Cam. I feel like she hasn't done anything for spring break. And I have parent guilt.
Yeah, we were like... I was throwing blueberries into her mouth, and
Aww.
The ones that she didn't catch, Evie was chasing after her, and we started. I wanted her to watch. So I have a list of movies that Peyton needs to watch.
Oh, okay.
And so I added some more last night. We ended up starting The Taking of Deborah Logan.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
That was a good one. But we added to her list. As Above, So Below.
I need to watch that. It's on my list, too.
Have you not watched it?
No, I've listened to a million podcasts about it, so I know everything that happens, but I need to, actually watch it. I'm a chicken, though. The older I get, scary movies, did you watch the trailer for Final Destination?
Yes, I did.
And I'm already traumatized. My anxiety was so high watching this trailer, but I also I'm a millennial. This is fair, okay? Those movies traumatize us.
Yeah.
Literally, somebody in the comments, they were like, great, now I'm scared of ice.
I know. I was like, the second that they just wiped it off, I was like, are you serious?
I know. You can't relax during those movies because I'm looking at every crumb, morsel, which one is it that's going to take you out?
Yep.
I'm stressed.
Peyton was wanting to watch a Final Destination last night, and I was like,
cut out for that.
I don't want to do a Final Destination tonight. But yeah, so As Above, So Below, which is a good one. I added Cabin in the Woods to her list.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I've only watched it once, and that was
fun.
Forever ago. So I was like, she said, why is this kind of giving, what did she say? She said, this is giving The Hunger Games meets From, that TV series that.
Oh, yeah. I don't know about that, but yeah.
And then finally, the last one that I added to the list, which was the one that I was one of the ones that I was kind of pushing for her to watch, but was The Blair Witch Project. And I'm not telling her that it's
not real.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that as an adult. I need to watch it again, but I remember my mom, what was that, 99, so I was 7. My mom took me and with my sister's dad at that time. I remember the whole phenomena. When the internet didn't exist, in the internet, that is just such a time. Being a millennial is a blessing. That is a time that they just will never experience. Just not having the internet is crazy, and then we just thought that was real. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Peyton believe that it's real, and just let her naturally figure it out. Because I thought it was real. My mom thought it was real.
Everyone thought it was real. There was literally a website. They're and they used don't they use their real names? Mm-hmm. I think they use their real names. Yeah, and a lot of that was quote unquote real. Their real reactions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. If you have not watched The Blair Witch Project,
you need to.
It came out about 30 years ago, and sorry, you got spoiled. Sorry. Yeah, no, I don't know. I have been doing school stuff. I've been doing work stuff. I've been making content. I am one continuous busy ball. I'm sick of it. Cameron's gymnastics season's over. Thank God. So that's one less thing. I'm so over it. So there's that. I don't know. I haven't done anything fun. I have read 10 books this month. I told Keely it's March. I don't know when this episode drops. But I don't even know if that's possible, but I'm gonna try to get
killing it.
2 more in. Yeah, I'm way ahead of like my reading goal. By the way,
I think I've read like.
That's
4
not
or
fair
5.
because she's on that board and that doesn't count. Keely's been reading a lot.
We have to start finishing the books.
Okay.
So.
Well, it's gonna start counting.
I've finished 5 of the like 40 books so far.
That's crazy.
But I mean, we don't have to finish all of them, but I need to finish at least 10 of them.
Oh, well, that's
so
you're doing good.
I need to have a top 10 favorite. So
well, you're getting there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tower of Dawn. Yeah. Okay, Tower of Dawn. Keely, got the blurb?
I do. Chaol Westfall has always defined himself by his unwavering loyalty, his strength, and his position in as the captain of the guard. But all of that has changed since the glass castle shattered, since his men were slaughtered, since the king of Adarlan spared him from a killing blow, but left his body broken. His only shot at recovery lies in the legendary healers of the Torre Cesme and Antica, the stronghold of the southern continent's mighty empire. And with war looming over Dorian and Aelin back home, their survival might lie with Chaol and Nesryn convincing its rulers to ally with them. But what they discover in Antica will change them both and be more vital to saving Aurelia than they could have imagined. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. If you could describe this book in 1 word, what would you say? What did you say?
If I could describe it in 1 word,
I don't have a word.
I would probably say.
I don't have a word.
I have a word, but it. So when I say this word, it's kind of like referring to a handful of the characters, and it's toxic.
Yeah, that's good. I have nothing good to say. Like, not that I have anything good to say. I don't have a good word. I was just gonna say like healing, but I almost don't want to say that because I still don't like this book that much. I just, I don't have I'm just gonna go with healing. Well, whatever. That's such a cop out. Well, okay. So, spoiler warning for our general summary. If you have not read any of SJM's books and any of Tower or any of Throne of Glass,
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing? So this book is strictly Chaol, and a bunch of new characters. So Chaol and Nesryn are the only 2 that we know previously. So at the end of Queen of Shadows, right?
I think so.
Okay, so at the end of Queen of Shadows, everybody splits up. So we've already covered. No, wait. The last one was Queen of Shadows. Where are the books? I don't even know what the books are. Let's Google Tower of Dawn. No, I don't want to Google Tower of Dawn. Throne of Glass. My brain is not functioning.
I got it. The last one was
Queen of Shadows is right.
Yep.
Okay. So at the end of Queen of Shadows, everybody splits. Well, everybody goes one way, and then Chaol and Nesryn go another way. And so we've already covered Empire Storms. At the same time of Empire Storms, this book, Tower of Dawn, is occurring. So Chaol is paralyzed from the waist down from the King of Adarlan. And so we know that in the south, in Antica? No, that's not what this is called. Whatever this is called. Anyways, in the south where they're going, they have the Torre Cesme, which is like the healers of like the south. There's like the only other like master healers are in Winland or wherever with Dornell with Maeve. So Nesryn's going there. Nesryn's family is also from there. They also are trying to, like get armies to help. So it's like, there's a multi-part faceted mission there. We learn, we meet lots of new characters. There's not a king in whatever this place is called. When I get to my notes, I'll tell you what it's called. But he's called the Khagan, and like it's a lot different than like normal.
Rulers,
yeah, like in like the how the succession goes. So there's like a bunch of kids. I mean, they're all adults, but there's like he has a bunch of kids. So we learn all those new characters. We meet lots of healers, and then a lot of other side characters as well. Lots of information. This book is very essential to the plot, so it cannot be skipped. I don't know how people skip Tower of Dawn. You can't skip it at all. But we learn a lot more about the Vogue. We learn a lot about the healers. We get some new romances. And at the end, we're headed, quote unquote, home to the rest of the gang. So that's all I'm going to say because it's really hard to do a spoiler-free summary. I'm sure that there are triggers. Did not look them up. I don't really care to because I know that they're the same triggers as all the other ones. It is misogyny, war, violence, murder, death, dying. All of the triggers are there. Every trigger you can think of is probably there. So we're just gonna jump right into it. I don't know how long this will be because I was lazy at note taking. So yeah, we're just going to wing it. Yay. And then talk about it and somewhere in our mixed new version of how we're doing this because I still haven't really like landed on what I like, but whatever. You're listening. If you're listening to us, it's because you like us. So we're going to get started. So this is your notice to pause here and come back later if you are somehow here and you don't need to be here yet. So, all right. So this is separated into parts. So part 1 is the God City and it takes them like 3 weeks, but I thought you were going to say 3. I was like, it takes them like 3 weeks on a boat, but like Chaol and Nesryn are in the southern continent. So Chaol is in a wheelchair. He's paralyzed from the waist down. He's also now like the hand of the king, which only makes me think of Game of Thrones. And Nesryn is now the king's head of the king's guard. So they are going, Antica. I was right. So it's called Antica. That's what the southern continent, whatever country is. I don't know. I don't know what's a continent, a country, a city. Like geography is not my strong suit. So they're headed there to try to like figure out if they can fix Chaol, if they can like get some soldiers and get help, and if they can learn anything about defeating the Vogue. So this is like a really nice place. They don't worship the same gods. They worship some of them, but they actually worship like 36 gods, I believe. Whereas like, I don't know, there's like 10 of them or something normally like in Aurelia that they worship. So, but when they get there, they realize that they're basically like the whole city is in mourning. And what we'll find out is that the Khagan, who is like the king, has, I don't even know how many kids it is. There's Sartak, Duva, the one that died.
7?
There might be like 6 or 7. Does it say it right here? I think, oh yeah. I'm about to go over and tell you exactly how many there are. So there's lots of kids. And so the Khagans are different. So the way that they like pick their ruler is not like on birth order or anything like that. Basically, you have a bunch of kids and you figure out which one of your kids is going to be best. And that's who it is. So it's really like a dog-eat-dog kind of world though for like the siblings because like, it's actually not fair that he set up here and had all these kids because in a lot of instances, historically, like the siblings will kill off like their other siblings once they are like seated in the throne because they don't want like a usurper or whatever. So they get there, they see that they're in mourning. And like the Khagan is not interested in like helping them. He's basically like, yeah, like you guys can come, you can get healed here or whatever, but like he's not really interested. So there is the Khagan. His oldest is Argan, and then there's Sartak, who is the second oldest son, and he flies what's basically a giant bird. They're called Rooks or Rukin. And then Hassar is the third born, and she's the oldest daughter. Kashin is the fourth, and he's a son. Duva is the second oldest daughter. She's also married, and she's 6 months pregnant. And then, what is that? How many is that already? Is that 5? So there were 6 of them. And then the youngest, Tumalin, I believe is how you say it. She is who they're mourning because she may or may not have committed suicide before this book started. So, that's what's going on in the city. So basically they kind of already know why Chaol's coming. They had spies in Rifthold. They actually know what's happened in the last 3 weeks while they've been on the boat. They know that Duke Parrington has basically, or quote unquote, Duke Parrington, who is really Erewhon, has sacked the city and that Dorian is missing. They also know that Aelin is like out and about on the run somewhere, and she is missing as well. So obviously, like, Nesryn is like immediately upset because she's like, her family, she had family like in the city. Like, she left her dad and her sister and like her nieces and nephews. So she's immediately like concerned that they died. So the Khagan's not like hearing them. Chaol tries to like immediately gives him like all this money or like gold, whatever that Aelin had given him. He's not interested. So they show Nesryn and Chaol. They're like kind of like sharing like a suite. They're not in the same room, but they like have like a private like suite, and they all have their own rooms. And then they go to dinner with the Khagan. And they're like kind of talking to one of the sons, Caution, who says that he believes that Duke Parrington has spies in their own palace here, and they want Chaol and Nesryn to like kind of like, they know what to look for, so they want them to kind of be like looking out, because he doesn't really believe that his sister died by suicide. He thinks that she was murdered. So we switch over to someone that we actually already know, and that's Yrene Towers. So if you did not skip Assassin's Blade, then you know Yrene was, she met Aelin at like a bar when Aelin was like on her way to the Red Desert, and she... and Aelin like basically taught her how to like defend herself and gave her money to like get to the Torre Cesme, because Yrene is a healer, like she has healer magic. And so Yrene made it here, and so she is basically like the second best healer in Antica. So there's the healer on high is like the head healer. Her name is Hafiza, and Yrene is basically like set to be her heir. And it's like interesting how they do it here. They have physicians, but physicians don't have any power. So like they force people to like see the doctors first. And then if they like because otherwise everyone would like, of course I want to see the healer. Like, just use your magic on me and fix me. But like they have like a system, which I think is like so funny. But she like carries the note from Aelin when she like left her the money and was like, the world needs more healers, and she like carries that with her all the time. So Irene's like super confident, and she's actually planning on leaving and going back to Adarlan because she wants to help in the war. She is actually friends with 2 of the Khagan's kids, so she's friends with Hussar. Hussar is interesting. Like, she's very bitchy, but like yeah, she's whatever. And then Caution really actually wants to be with Yrene more than like be her friend, and she does not want that. She, 1, doesn't want to be with him, and 2, does not want to be with whoever ends up being the Khagan. So she's like, I don't want that. So she's told that she is supposed to go see, who she'll learn is Chaol, about his injuries. But she finds out that he is the captain of the, he was the captain of the guard and all these things. So she immediately is like, absolutely not. They killed my mom and they're disgusting people. Why would I ever want to do anything? And so Hafiza's basically like, you know, this is so nursing related. She's very much like, we don't get to decide. Like, you have to just care for your patient and do your job as whatever. And you have to like put your own feelings like to the side. And I was like, that's actual factual. And so after like the dinner, Chaol and Nesryn go back to the room. Nesryn pretty much is like pushing Chaol around, doing all that stuff, even though he wants to be like very independent in this wheelchair. He does not want any help at all. And so Yrene comes and she's like very rude. But Chaol like immediately picks up that like she's from Adarlan. Like, he's like, oh, you're from like back home. So she asks like about she asks about the injury. She's doing her assessment, and she's like, what does she say? She's like asking him like what parts still work. He is so like mortified. I love Chaol getting humbled at any moment. Like, he's like, what do you mean? Like, of course, like it still works. Like, like she's like, have you used it to completion? That's what it was. And he was like, no. And Nesryn's just like, which, mind you, in the last book, he told Nesryn like they were gonna like kind of try to be together, but like then this happened, so they're not together either. Like, they're not hooking up either. So Yrene like looks him over and she's like, I don't know. So she leaves and she has to go talk to Hafiza again. She's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I can do. And Chaol's pretty much like, great. Like, she's not going to come back and hate or help me. Like, she hates me. So Yrene talks to Hafiza. She talks about Chaol's situation. She actually healed someone with like what she thinks was a similar injury. Like they were paralyzed. She just doesn't know like the root cause of. He told her it was magic, but she doesn't really like know truly like what happened to him. So she decides, I'm gonna do it. Like I'll do it. Whatever. So she comes in to help, and Nesryn's kind of like, how long is this going to take? So she's like, I'm going to go visit my aunt and uncle in the city. And so while she goes, Sartak comes over because he's like noticed Nesryn, and he's like, can I walk you? Like, whatever. And they talk about like the Rooks. And Sartak is like well known. Like Nesryn knew about him back home. Like her dad would talk about him because the royals don't like, they don't fly Rooks. He flies a Rook because he decided to hop on one when he was a kid. So his dad told him to live with them for like a couple months and was basically like live or die, figure it out. And so he did. And now he is a Rookin flyer. Before Yrene comes back, Chaol goes and like kind of does his own like little investigation. He's like been looking like to see like, does anybody have a collar? Does anybody have rings? Which they don't. And so he's like, he doesn't really like know, like he feels like somebody could possibly be here, but he doesn't really know. And then he like goes to dinner, like Nesryn's still not back, so he's like really getting like pissy about that. But he sees Yrene at dinner and like she's looks nice, but he notices that like Caution's also like looking at her, so he's like, what's up with that? And then Nesryn comes back late or whatever, and he like snaps at her, and I'm like, this is not your woman. And that's basically what Nesryn says. She's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know I had a curfew, like what's up? But she is excited because she did find out when she went to visit her family that her family back in Rifthold did survive. So her dad and her sister and everybody is alive. So Yrene comes back and they start working on the healing session. And she basically tells Nesryn, like, this is going to take forever. Like, you should just find you something else to do. So she does. Yrene, like, is like, you know, anytime she asks Chaol, she's like, you can do it yourself, basically. Like, she lets him like get his like shoes off or whatever and like turn himself over and work through his own frustrations. And they're all like, while they're working, they're very careful like not to talk because they don't trust that no one's listening. Like ever since when like Caution basically said he didn't trust like what happened, they're very careful about it. But as they're talking, Chaol does tell Yrene like basically like, Dorian is not like his father, like things are different now, like you don't have to like hate us basically. But she starts kind of like working his wound and she can tell like she's like, this is wrong, like whatever this is like a wrongness. And as she works on his wound like throughout the book, she like can see his memories as she like works on it, and she's like, it's like a darkness or whatever. And then every time she works on this wound, it takes like hours. Like it'll be like 8 a.m. and then it's like 5 p.m. Like they like black out and then it's the afternoon. Like it's crazy. So Chaol literally just, I mean, he couldn't hold a secret if you he kills me. You know what? Because he is so just like the audacity. This man is one session in and is like, hey, there's word stones, word gates, Vogue, Erewhon, word keys.
I mean, you're right.
He Duke Parrington is not Duke Parrington. He's Erewhon. This man could not hold water. I mean, one session in, he's done told everything. Everything. Aelin would kill him. Would kill him.
You know what? I did not think about that.
He literally was just like,
he did just spill his guts.
Word vomit. So he's already told Yrene everything. Okay, so after like their first session, they have like these like hot springs like underneath the Torre. So she goes down there to like kind of like think and like it's like a meditation thing. And while she's down there, like after that, she starts like researching like there's all these like ancient texts and like scrolls which actually do have information about the Vogue. And she like sees like a lot of things written in like the language of Ilwe. I don't know if there's a name for that, but I'm like, what is the Ilwe language called? But anyways, and so she can kind of read that, and she learns that there's actually 3 Vogue kings, not just Erewhon. There was Erewhon, Orcus, and Manny. And so they're the ones who made the keys to the war gates. But while she's down there, she basically like feels like someone's like stalking her, and she leaves the library and she finds the body of another like young girl in the healers who actually looks a lot like her, with like her life like completely like drained out of her. And so she's like assuming that whoever like did this to her was actually coming for Yrene. Yrene is black, by the way. Yeah, in case anybody doesn't know that. So We like that.
Yeah, I learned that when I found this.
Yeah, when Keely was doing her not approved investigative work.
I made an uh-oh.
She made an oopsie. So while all that was happening with Yrene, Chaol like is still like trying to work on the Khagan, still trying to get them to like, you know, give them anything. He's not budging, but Sartaq makes plans with Nesryn. It's like, hey, do you want to go like fly with me? And so like, you know, that's budding over there. So Yrene like comes back. She's still working on Chaol's back, and he literally is like, he has to have like a horse bit like in his mouth like while she works on him. And she's basically like, this wound like hates my magic, like it's like fighting against it. And she's like, I think it's feeding off, you know, like your bitter nastiness inside of you. And she's like, you know, you really should talk about like what you're feeling and like what happened. But he's like, absolutely not. I'm a man. Like, no. So meanwhile, Nesryn goes with Sartaq to like see his rook. His rook's name is Kadara. And they go on a ride, which absolutely not. I think I would be safer on Abraxos. Like, I don't know. I feel like Abraxos would be like flatter and smoother and easier for me to hold on to. I don't know that I want to ride on the back of a bird. I don't know. Yeah, because she's like, yeah, my stomach was in my throat. I want to puke. Same. So there's that. They go flying. But they also do that because obviously when they're in the sky, they can speak. They talk about everything that happened in Adarlan. She tells him about Aelin, and about how, like why she killed the king of Adarlan. And they talk about like the murder in the library and kind of like what Yrene is researching. But Nesryn lies because she's like, I'm not really ready to tell him everything yet. So in another healing session, Yrene sees Mor, and it shows her Morath. So she starts to like learn more about the Vogue. And while like she's working on this, Chaol has kind of like ordered Nesryn to like go out into the city and like search for the Vogue, which Sartaq is like, you know, he's on her trail. So everywhere she goes, he goes. He's like, you look like you're about to go hunt, like you've done this before. So she like basically tells him like, yeah, like I have. She basically starts talking to him about like her family and like how she lost her mom and like how she was like concerned. So Sartaq basically promises to like try to send like word to his spies to help her family if like they show up and they're trying to come here. So she also tells him more about the Vogue. She doesn't tell him about the keys or the gates because she is smarter than Chaol. But she does tell him like that basically the king of Adarlan and Dorian both have been possessed by the Vogue, and that if he sees anyone wearing like a ring or a collar, then like, you know, he should be on alert. And he says, this reminds me of stories I heard from my Hearth mother, which is like the leader of his like Rukin clan. And she would tell basically stories about the Vogue. And so Nesryn's like, what? Like, you guys had Vogue here before. So she's a little like shaken up by that. So the next morning, Yrene comes because she's asked Chaol to help train the girls since there was like that attack. So she gets like a brace made for him to like sit on the horse. So he comes or whatever, but he comes out and she's like, okay, girls, get him off the horse. Get him off the horse. They about drop him. I love a humble Chaol because he's shitty. Like, he's so pissed. His ego is like non-existent at this point. He's like, you didn't ask me if I was okay with that. And she's like, it's like a learning lesson. He's like, I didn't want them to do that. Like, they literally about dropped him on his face, and I'm tickled. But he basically like, he starts teaching them, and he learns that like Yrene has already been teaching them. Like, she's like taught them how to eye gouge. He's like, what about the groin? And they're like, that was the first lesson. Like, all like the stepping on the instep. It makes me think of, I forgot, Keely has never seen Miss Congeniality, so I can't talk to her about that movie when they teach you the 5 steps and the thing. But anyway, so Irene's already been teaching the girls, which Chaol's like pretty like impressed about. So after the session is when he like tells her like in private that he was like really pissed off about like how she almost got him dropped or whatever. And basically he's like, are you trying to punish me like because I worked for the king of Adarlan? And Yrene apologizes because she's like, you know, I am a teacher like of a healer. It's like she did not do that on purpose. Like, she's like, I'm not. And she tells him about what happened in her past and how she saw the Adarlan soldiers kill her mom. They actually burned her mother alive. So she starts working on him again, and more memories are coming out. So Selena, like trying to kill him after what happened with Nehemia. She sees the wordstone collar on Dorian's throat. She can like feel his heartbreak when this pissed me off. When he learned that Selena was Aelin Galathynius. Oh my God, I'm Chaol. And then like when she left for Winland, and then like she sees stuff about his father, like when his dad like threw him out basically when he decided he wanted to be in the Kingsguard and not be like the Lord of whatever, wherever he lives. And so basically like her like magic is like in the form of like a white light. And I was like, okay, I see you, Bonnie Bennett. Keely also doesn't get the reference. But after this session, her nose is bleeding because she's like working so hard. And Bonnie is a witch, and every time on the Vampire Diaries, and every time she like does magic, her nose bleeds. And I was like, okay, Bonnie, I see you. But anyway, so this session, after like she works through those little problems, he actually gets a little bit of feeling back, like in his toes. But he like is like really concerned because her nose is bleeding, so he tells her like to lay down. And he apologizes like for what happened to her mom, and he tells her about how the king of Adarlan killed Sorsha, who was also a healer, and he admits like he felt like so much shame for when he left Dorian behind that day when Dorian told him to run. And this is when she notices that his toes are moving while he's talking. So Nesryn like goes out to visit her uncle and her aunt again, and she basically tells them like about the attack on the library and says like they just need to be like very like careful or whatever. And this time Sartak doesn't go with her. They're like, where's your mans? We heard you were like flying around with him or whatever. And basically like, so the rumors are started. So Yrene basically is kind of like put it all together that like the core like problem with Chaol is like his mental, like that is like this wound is basically a parasite and it's eating off of his like mental issues. And so they both like are like getting catharsis from like sharing like these little bits about themselves. But Yrene gets summoned to Hasar's room because Hasar like is Irene's quote unquote friend, like not really, but like whatever. And she basically is like, hey, I want you to get information from me. Like she wants information from Chaol. She has like a map of like all of Duke Parrington's like forces or whatever, and she basically wants her to find out from Chaol where Aelin is. She's basically like, if she doesn't do it, then she's gonna, Hasar is over like the boats and like ships and stuff, so she's basically like, if you don't do what I'm telling you to do, then I'm not ever gonna let you leave this place, because she knows that Yrene wants to go back home. Chaol, like during this whole time, Chaol and Nesryn again, like they had plans of trying to be a couple. So he was like, oh, I'll go see your family with you, but now he's never been. So now he's like still putting this off. Nesryn's like disappointed, but like also not. Like she's kind of like, she don't really like Chaol either. Like I think that was just like they both had this like idea in their head, but I don't think either of them really like cared about it. And they have like this little stupid kiss, which I'm like, why are y'all even, why we're pushing it? Like why? And Chaol's like, there was no heat in the kiss. Like, oh my gosh. Like, please. And so the next day, like, Yrene does not show up for the healing session. That's because she's, like, overly exhausted. Like, she sleeps for, like, 2.5 days because it is taking all of her, like, work to, like, all of her energy to, like, work on him. And so the next time he sees her, he goes to check on her and he like gets on the horse with the thing. And like, he goes with her to see like other people that she's healing. And like, he really gets to see like how she really like, I mean, she's a healer. She's caring for people and like actually like really cares about what she does. And they're really like starting to like bond. So they went from enemies to friends at this point. So they go to this like feast. It's a feast for one of the gods, and Yrene shows up. She looks like a princess. She's beautiful because Hasar has dressed her, but Hasar like was like, you need to get that information out tonight, basically. And Hasar basically like makes everyone move at the table so that like Nesryn sitting next to Sartak, and like Chaol is near Yrene, and like all these things. And like, so this is a very like open country or whatever. Like, people are, first of all, the servants, like in the very beginning, the servant was like trying to have sex with Chaol. He's like, I'm good. But like in this place, it is not cheating if you have sex with your servants. So it's like, it's just a job. Like, it's just a job. Literally, like one of the like siblings is like at the table talking, and there's like people on both sides of his neck, like kissing all over him. He's just like, hey, how you doing? What's up? Like, what's going on? And then they have like opium like blowing through like the whole place. Everybody's high. Everybody's turned on. Like, I'm like, okay, this is much. So of course, Yrene starts talking to Chaol, He don't even need those. He likes this girl. He's like, she's cute or whatever. But then also all the Opians going. They're kind of flirting. And she's like, basically like, where's Aelin? He's like, okay, like, where's the one place Aelin would never go? And he's like, Skull's Bay. Meanwhile, whole time, Aelin's in Skull's Bay. Yeah. Whole time, we know, because we've already read Empire Storm.
As soon as he said that, I was like, well.
You had one job, Chaol. One. So they leave, and Chaol, like, they split up. He's like, I gotta get out of here before I, like, jump her bones. So he goes back to his room with Nesryn, and they hook up. Womp, womp, womp. So the next morning, Yrene comes in, because Chaol told her, like, the day before, like, oh, you can come at whatever time. You can come at dawn. You can come at 3 a.m. I don't care. Well, she comes at dawn, and then he's in the bed with Nesryn. So she's like, oh, my bad. And he's like, I didn't know you were coming this early. Didn't you just tell me to come at dawn? You just told me to come at dawn. Okay. So obviously her feelings are hurt. Nesryn, like, there's like, no, this is just, there's no feelings attached to this. She's like, that was sex, whatever. She leaves. And Yrene, like, basically pulls out all these, like, scrolls and books and stuff that she's been finding on the Vogue. And Chaol's like, you know, we need to hide these. Like, somebody is going to come and get us. Like, I don't even know why these are here. And so he basically tells her, like, I have someone, because he can't read that stuff, but he knows someone who can read the word marks, because they're all, I feel like they don't just talk in word marks in ill way, though. No. But it's an ill way thing. Like, yeah. I guess nobody else uses word marks. And Irene's like, why do you only ever talk about Erewhon? And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, there's 3 kings. And he's like, 3? And he basically crashed out because he's like, so I'm paralyzed. And then there's 3 kings, not 1. Okay. This was a valid crash out. I'm okay with this. So Yrene starts working on Chaol again, and she's asking about the scars, which are the ones that Aelin gave him when she scratched his cheek. He doesn't want to talk about that. But he does talk about the scar on his head, which he also got from his father when he was a boy. So Yrene starts healing him again. She sees more dark memories. She sees, this is when she sees the time when her, like, the dad threw him out or whatever. And then she sees Sorsha being beheaded. She sees Dorian being possessed. She sees Nehemia's death. And so, like, to kind of combat all that, she gives a happy memory of her mom. So Chaol's able to see, like, her as a child and, like, see her mom. And at the end of this, he can actually now move his feet. And so, like, Irene's, like, really worked up about this because she's like, I haven't seen my mom, like, in years. And so she talks about, again, how they killed her mom, and how she basically, like, fled, and she was planning on coming to the Torre, but she only made it to, like, that bar in Inish, and how this random lady just showed up there, and or does she, I don't even know if she tells, she doesn't tell him everything about Aelin yet, because she doesn't know that that's Aelin. She never even learned her name. She doesn't even know it's Selena, because she never learned her name, but she just tells him that she ended up at a bar and ended up stuck there or whatever. And so that she doesn't tell him everything just yet. So Nesryn goes and meets Sartak, and he's basically about to go to, like, visit the Rukin. So he's going to be gone for a while, and he's like, you coming or what? And she's like, I have nothing. She's literally like, she don't even pack a bag. She doesn't even have a spend the night bag. She's like, I'm going with you, whatever. She leaves. She literally writes Chaol a note and was like, I hold you to no promises. You don't hold me to any either. And was like, deuces, I'm out of here. And I love that. I love that for her. So she leaves with Sartak. And so Yrene and Chaol go to the Torre library. They're, like, searching for more information. And he tells Yrene, like, the real reason that magic ended up banished in Aurelia, and how basically the king of Adarlan was possessed, and, like, he tried to fight against it, but, like, he really couldn't. Meanwhile, Nesryn and Sartak, they make it to, like, the Rukin clan, and he basically says, like, I heard of you, like, before you got here. Like, my spies told me of you. They call you Nice Arrow, basically, which is, like, the goddess of archery, because we know that Nesryn's really good with the bow and arrow. So Chaol gets Nesryn's letter, and he's upset. He feels guilty for flirting with Yrene. Like, just tell Nesryn you don't want to be with her. Y'all know that you don't want to do this. Why are we even stringing this along?
And she just said.
She said, I'm good, you're good, we out. Like, and even later, he's like, well, when Nesryn gets back, I'm going to... She already knows. She clearly already said that. You don't need to say anything else to Nesryn. Nesryn is not thinking about you at all. No. And so Yrene comes for her next session, and of course, Chaol got his panties in a bunch about Nesryn. So Yrene is basically like, she's realizing, like, you know, Chaol was very physical. Like, he used physical training as coping, and so now that he can't do that, he's in a bad mood. And so she like kind of like is like picking with him or whatever. And he just kind of shuts down on her. So she goes to see Hussar, who lets her know that Sartaq and Nesryn have left, and that is, she's like, oh, okay, that's why he's pissy or whatever. It's about Nesryn. So she goes to like out in the city to like the slums, and she's like wandering around. She's doing some healing. She comes back and she knows somebody is like behind her. So she books it and she runs to Chaol's room, literally barricades herself in there, and like this Vogue thing, because we know that's what it is at the door, and it's like, Yrene.
No. No.
Yrene, open the door. Oh, no. So they literally, like, she's barricading the door, trying to find a way out. It's like banging and beating on the door or whatever. But then all of a sudden, like, one of the guards come in and it just disappears. So they don't know who it was or whose body it was in, like nothing about it. It's just like a creepy thing.
A creepy little creepy thing.
Yeah. Ugh, no, I could not sleep. So neither can she. So she's like, okay, Chaol's like, well, Nesryn's gone. You can stay in Nesryn's room. And Caution is like, I'm going to give you like extra guards or whatever, which Chaol's like, oh, see how fast like Caution came? Like he really likes you. And she's like, whatever, I don't care. But forget Nesryn's room, because Yrene falls asleep in Chaol's bed. And he like decides like he's gonna start like training more, like to at least be like as good as he possibly can be. So meanwhile, Nesryn and Sartaq, they are in like the mountains where the Rukin are. They meet his like he considers them family, and they're called the Erudin, I think. So he meets Borte, which is basically like his clan sister. She's like the heir of the clan or whatever. And then his hearth mother, Hulan. And she's like, the Hearth Mother is like a story keeper. Like she's very like revered, like very important to like the Rukin. She's not there when they get there, so they kind of have to like hang out for a bit. So he kind of like gives Nesryn a tour, and they like practice and just kind of like hang out or whatever. And when his Hearth Mother does come back, they basically learn that the Rook nests are being like pillaged, and something is stealing all of their like eggs and their hatchlings, which like they obviously don't play about that. And I cannot say the way that they say it, but essentially it is the Stygian spiders. So they call them like the Karen Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say spiders. So we are back with the spiders. So if you don't remember, the spiders are where Manon went to get the silk for Abraxos. Ugh. And they're the size of horses.
No.
Ew. Ew. And they're back. And not only are they disgusting, they're Vogue.
Yep.
So that's great. So essentially, there's a guy there who's like hanging out. Don't know why. He's a merchant. His name is Falcon. And he has also met the spiders, because Nesryn's like, they're a myth. He's like, no, they're not. He pulls out 100, like he has like yards of spider silk. He exchanged 20 years of his life, because they always want something, but they didn't take it. Like he thought I was going to die early. They took it like from he's like 20 years old, but he looks 50, because they took it through like his youth basically. And he said,
So isn't he the one that Aelin / Selena ran into when
he was waiting for when she was waiting for Ansel?
Yeah. I was like, I love how it's all kind of like interconnected. Okay.
Yes. So yes, he's a merchant. He was in whatever that place was called when Ansel was going to meet with whoever the king guy or whatever, and was like blackmailing the silent assassins. He was the merchant she ran into. And he is here now. So his name is Falcon. So he made a deal. He got the spider silk. And he said he thinks that if he kills the spider that he like did the deal with, he might get his years back. I'm so out of order. I know I'm not going to go out of order. I'm going to tell it in order. Okay. I want to tell it because I'm so excited. Okay. No. Okay. Sorry. Anyways, so that's why he's here. He came to the Rukin to figure out how to kill the spiders. The Hearth Mother starts asking Nesryn about Erewhon and all these things. And she basically says that long ago, there was a word gate that opened in these mountains that allowed the spiders and other Vogue to enter the world. And most of them went north, but the spiders stayed in the southern continent to guard the word gate. And she also says, like, she talks about the war in the Fae realms, the 3 Vogue kings, and the Fae Queen Maeve. And that after the Vogue were defeated, the Fae traveled to the southern continent, and they sought the Rooks to help, like, fight the spiders. And they built these watchtowers throughout the land to like guard against the spiders and other Vogue demons who might try to come through the word gate. So they're like basically like maybe like Nesryn and Sartaq can go find these watchtowers and they might like find some answers. So back with Yrene and Chaol, they go to the library again. They're still like going through like the scrolls and the text. And the head librarian is kind of like, they ask like, why do we even have these? And they're like, we don't know. But they tell them about like, there's like these deserted like desert caves, which are supposed to have like other information basically. And it's near like this private refuge where like the royals will like go like on little like trips or whatever. So Chaol's like, well, how about you ask Sarah, like, you know, could we go there? Basically, you know, figure it out. And then like him and Yrene have like a little dinner date kind of thing. And yeah, so they're working on that relationship. So back with Sartaq and Nesryn, they go to this watchtower and it is filled with booby traps. Like everywhere they step, there's like something shooting out the wall and they're like meant to kill like big demon things because they're like very sharp, like staffs and all kind of stuff. And they end up like in this like dungeon thing and they're trying to like read this words and she's trying to figure it out and then all of a sudden something starts speaking to them and it's like it says look up. And that's because when they look up there's a spider.
Yay.
And it attacks them because I would be dead. It attacks, but then this gray wolf comes out of nowhere, and it so Nesryn and Sartaq are able to escape, and then Kadara, Sartaq's Rukin, is like able to come in and kill off the spider, and then the wolf shifts, and it's Falcon. Ding 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 ding. Did that like were you like, this is coincidental?
No, not yet.
Shocking. Okay, because I was like,
not yet.
Huh. Okay. So Falcon basically is like, I heard you guys talking last night. I followed you. I grew up in Adarlan. He's basically like, he never knew that he could shift until he came here because there was no magic. And he said, this is my father and my brother's magic, basically. And, like Sartaq is pissed. He feels like they've been like deceived. So they go back and he's like telling like Borte and everybody like what happened basically. And he like goes over to Nesryn is like, tell me about the word keys. And she's like, I'm sorry, what is a word key? What key of word? I don't know what that is. And she is so much better. Nesryn is a million times better than Chaol because we are 20 chapters past where I was and she still has not told Sartaq everything that Chaol told Yrene the first day he met her. But okay. So she doesn't tell Sartaq anything, but she does believe that but he basically is like, okay, well, I'm going to assume that Erewhon has at least one of the word keys. He doesn't have all three because we would all be dead, but he definitely has one or two. So it has now been like 3 weeks of Yrene working on Chaol, and he like has movement up to his knees, but he can't stand up yet. So he goes to dinner with like the Khagan and the family, and Hasar is basically like picking on him. He's like, she's like, Nesryn's supposed to be like back tomorrow, and then Chaol's like, well, actually she's not because she wrote a letter and was like they're staying like 3 more weeks or whatever. So then Hasar is like, oh, by the way, Dorian and Aelin were in Skull's Bay. And the Chaol's like, I'm sorry. Why would she be there? And so basically she's like, yeah, we like the spy saw like her release all her power and there was like ice and fire and wind and all these things. And he's like, great, like the whole gang is there. Like, okay, whatever. But then they tell her, or then she tells them like, yeah, now she's like burning up the coast of Ilway. And he's like, no, she would never do that. She like specifically loves Nehemia. Like she would never do that. But he can't like say that because he doesn't want them to use information against Aelin. So basically Hasar's like, because he's like, Aelin would never do that. And she's like, well, swear on it. Swear on Swear on Irene's life. And he's like, okay, well, I can't do that because Aelin does do some shady stuff. So I can't like, because they're basically like, say she's like a wonderful, nice lady and would never do terrible things. And he's like, okay, well, I can't do that. Like, Yrene will die right here, like drop dead. So he does not, and Irene's kind of like, do it, say it. But he does not swear on her life. So then Hasar and Argan like basically are like, basically, like, they took this whole thing to basically prove to their dad that they should not help Chaol. So that was what this whole thing was about. So after dinner, Caution asked Chaol to come to his suite. And he still is, like, on the side, kind of Chaol. Like, he still thinks that, like, something is going on. And he tells Chaol that they've actually been giving, like, these fire lances, which I have no idea what that is, these weapons to Rolf. And that they've ordered more, basically, for Aelin. So back with Nesryn and Sartak, Nesryn helps like the Rukin, like she's been like kind of helping out around the clans. They've been learning more from the Hearth Mother, and then they asked for like a story one night about Adarlan, and Nesryn like sings for them. So not only is she beautiful and can shoot an arrow, she can sing, and so Nesryn, Sartak, Borte, and Falcon start going to like more of the watchtowers for like the Fae watchtowers, but they're not finding anything. And they go to one and they run into this guy who is basically like betrothed to Borte, and they like have like a love-hate relationship. So that's a little cute thing. So anyways, so Yrene is basically like still working on Chaol's back, like still working through all this stuff. So Chaol basically takes the information that Caution gave him about the fire lances, and he's like, okay, the king or the Khagan won't talk to me because the Khagan keeps telling him like, you need to like set up a meeting with my like secretary. So he like he busts in the room one day, and the Khagan's like, I told you I'm not going to meet with you. And he's like, I'm not here to talk to you. I'm here to talk to your secretary. But he's basically like, I will order like double those like weapons that Rolf and Aelin have been like doing or whatever. And the Khagan's like, you're still not gonna like, that's still not gonna make me talk to you, like blah 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 blah. And I'm like, just talk to the man. Like, oh my, why are you letting him stay here and do all this if you're not gonna,
what
like,
is the point?
Why are you doing this? And he's basically like, you know, telling the Khagan like, if you keep saying like we're good here, he's like, okay, so if Erewhon defeats Aurelia, where do you think he's gonna go next? Like, they're not gonna defeat one country and then just be like, okay, we're gonna stay here. Like, obviously, like they're gonna come to you next. So later, Yrene comes to like work on Chaol. Of course, he's pissy again, and he wants to fight. So Irene's like, okay, I'll give it to you. So she basically starts like picking on him, basically saying like, it seems like you were like excited that Nesryn was going to come back, like, or, you know, picking all these things. And he feels guilty about Nesryn and Yrene, so he starts snapping back, and he basically tells her like she's nothing and she'll never be more than a girl from Finharrow, unlike Aelin, who lost everything. And I'm like, are you an idiot? Then the answer is yes, because Chaol is an idiot. And so Irene's like about to cry, and she's like, okay, I'm about to leave. And Chaol's like, oh my God, like I can't let her leave. And he stands up and steps towards her because he's about to walk. So she starts like picking on him more, and it basically makes him like even more pissed. So he's like kind of like chasing her like around the room. And then he's like, you're just like goading me. And she's like, yeah. And then he kisses her. So I guess we're happy for Chaol. So a week goes by. He's like getting more and more like healed. He basically can walk with a cane now, but he does still need his chair because he gets tired easily. So they're like brewing this little romance, keeping it a secret because she's, you know, a professional. But she does convince Hussar to have a birthday party for her because it's about to be Irene's birthday. And she says like, Hussar basically is going to have a desert party where they need to go because Hussar likes to have parties. So that is, you know, what she asked for her birthday. So back with Nesryn, she and Sartak and Falcon, who like he travels in like a mouse form, which gross, but like, okay, like, is there not like a cuter, not nasty animal? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Why mouse? Anyways, so they decide to go directly into the spider territory. I mean, just YOLO, I guess. And they see a hatchling. They try to escape with it, and they immediately realize it's a trap. And Kadara is like taken out and just barely gets to like fly off, but she has to leave the three of them behind. So they are stuck like in these mountains. So the spiders come out, and they're basically like chasing them into this like passage because Kadara like could not get them out. So back with Chaol, he is like able to ride now without a brace. He gets this horse. Okay, he gets this horse, and he tells, this pissed me off so bad. He tells Yrene, he's like, yeah, I have an Asterian like horse. Oh, that Aelin gave you?
So what?
And that Aelin gave you, like, first of all, yeah, what do you want? A cookie? And also, like, I have an Asturian horse. Yeah, that Aelin and Dorian gave you, like, please. Like, do you want to see, like, my Ferrari? Oh, it's my parents' car. Like, that's exactly what they gave me. Like, I mean, you do, Chaol, but also, like, where the hell is this horse right now? Where is even the horse? Is the horse still alive? What are we talking about? So, anyways, him and Yrene, like, have a race in the desert, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I can't stand him. And so... whatever. Anyways, so they like decide like they're gonna share a tent, and they like go out like while Hussar and them are like hanging out in the pool or whatever. They like decide to like investigate basically, and they find like these caves, and they find like all these carvings, and it's basically a Fae burial site. And Chaol like basically is like, I think the healers are descendants from the Fae, and that they can use their magic to fight the Vogue. And so they basically, they go back to dinner, and Hussar is still like picking, like, she's like, you know, you should like basically marry one of my brothers. And Chaol's like, she's not marrying any of your brothers or whatever. And this is when we get like the favorite audio where, they're basically talking about Aelin, and Hussar's like, well, maybe one of my brothers will marry Aelin, even though like it'll be miserable for them. And Chaol's like, they're not marrying Aelin. And they're like, why? And he's like, because she's with Rowan. And they're like, ears prick up, because everybody knows who Rowan Whitethorn is. And he's like, what? The audio is like, good luck to anyone who challenges Rowan Whitethorn. And then Hussar's like, why? Because Aelin will burn them to ash. And he's like, no, because Rowan always walks away from that fight, not the assailant or whatever. And I told Keely, I was like, yeah, because Chaol just needs to admit that he's a Rowan stan. And it's okay. Like, we're all there. We all love Rowan. We do. He's hot. Okay. So anyway, so then she starts picking on, she's picking on Yrene. So then she starts picking on Chaol, and because Chaol's basically like, you know, Adian and Aelin could like drink you guys under a table. And Hussar's like, or under a chair.
I did giggle at that part.
So Yrene literally like jumps up, pissed off, and pushes Hussar into the pool. And then like, so Chaol is like, oh, like we're about to die. Like, oh, okay. But then like her brother and like her girlfriend, basically Hussar's girlfriend, start laughing. So like Hussar just like storms off. So they're like, okay, we're gonna go really quickly before she comes back and kills us. So they leave. Chaol gives Yrene her birthday present, which he got her a locket, which is engraved with her name, but it also has mountains and, is it mountains and rivers?
I think so.
On it, because she had to cross all these mountains and rivers to get there. And Yrene loves it, and they have sex because she's in love with Chaol. So blah, 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 whatever. I said, I don't know how he ends up with a woman, but I don't want him to. So there's that. So then Yrene finally tells him about Aelin Celaena, no-name woman that she doesn't know. She says that's how she got from Inish, the Inish Inn. She says there was basically like a girl there who saved her from these mercenaries and taught her self-defense, and then paid her passage to the southern continent, which is why Yrene always has that note that she carries around, because he tells her like, oh, maybe you can put your note in that locket now that you're always carrying around. And obviously Yrene has no idea who Aelin or Celaena is, because Aelin never told her. But Chaol also has no idea that this is Aelin or Celaena, because why would you think that? But he's like very grateful that obviously that woman did that for her, because that's how he met her. So we go back to Sartaq and Nesryn. Sartaq is actually like he's injured. So he basically just starts talking to Nesryn. He's like, I loved you before I ever even met you, like when he knew all the stories. And then a spider grabs him and drags him away. And then the spider comes and gets Nesryn too. Well, she actually pretends to let herself be caught. And they get wrapped in spider silk, which would make me want to vomit all over myself. I feel like that's the nastiest thing in the world. I don't know. So Nesryn wakes up because Falcon was like in tiny mouse form, and he's like chewing her out of the webs. So he's like, keep her occupied, the spider. So the spider just starts talking like every idiot villain does. And basically tells Nesryn that her Dark Majesty will return. And she's like, who's the Dark Majesty? And she's like, Maeve, the Queen of the Vogue. I'm sorry. Come again.
I paused it and like rewound a bit. I was like, what?
Maeve, Queen of the Vogue, not the Fae. Maeve. So, essentially, there were 3 brothers. We already know that. The 3 Vogue kings. And then there are Vogue queens, which includes Maeve. Maeve married the powerful brother, Orcus. But then she was like bored. So she was like, what can I do? I can walk through worlds. So she found a way to come here. And she brought the spiders with her. Of course she did. So then she was like, okay, I don't want to go home. So when she found out that when the brothers realized that she was missing and they found her, they made the work keys and did all that stuff. They was going to all kind of places. So they come here and she's like, okay, I don't want them to know it's me. I don't know how, but okay. So she pretended to be somebody else, which is the Fae. So she found Mab and Mora, which are Aelin and Adian's grandmothers, basically, and got into their minds. Very Rhysand of her. It's a theory. And made them believe that they had a sister who was Maeve, and made all the people believe that she was always there. So now why no one questions why she's lived 1,000 years and no other Fae lives that long, I don't know. But she did that. And so when the Vogue kings came, she defeated them because she wants them to get out of here and go back to where they came from. She's happy over here and she's doing her own little thing. So she stole the keys and sent 2 of the kings back. But Brannon, Fire King and Terrason, stole the keys before she could get rid of Erewhon as well. Brannon never knew who Maeve was. So when Aelin asked him in Empire Storms, because Aelin goes like, is Maeve Vogue? Or whatever she says. And he's like, no. He really didn't know. He didn't know any different. Falcon gets Nesryn like all free, and then he gets Sartak free as well. So basically he goes out and transforms into one of the spiders and like comes in, and he pretends to tell he tells this other spider that there are Rukin coming. So she like goes out with him. And so then Nesryn and Sartak are able to sneak out. So as they're like escaping, they're like basically stuck on top of like this mountain, and they're like, what are they going to do? So Nesryn's like, let's shoot fire arrows at them, because the spider basically said that that's the only thing that they fear is fire. So she's like, I need kindling. And Sartak literally just cuts off his braid. Like his hair was braided. I don't know how long. He just cuts it off. Here you go. Use my hair. I mean, cool. So they start like shooting like fire arrows at the spiders, and Falcon is like basically like, hey, I'm gonna sacrifice myself. And she's like, what? And he's like, by the way, I have a brother who sired a bastard daughter with a woman in Rifthold, and I have been searching for her, and all of my money and all of my riches is for her, and I found her mother, but she had already kicked my niece out. And I don't know what she looks like. I don't know her name. But he asked Nesryn, like, basically, I'm going to die, so can you find her? And before Nesryn can even open her mouth, he freaking goes.
I was like, oh my God.
Because Nesryn knows that he's talking about Lysandra. And it's unfortunate. He's like, I don't know what she looks like. Lysandra doesn't know what she looks like either.
Right.
I hate that. I always hate that. So he goes, he's like fighting them off. He's still in like spider form. But then Borte shows up with like other Rooks, and they're like able to like get out of there. Kadara comes back and grabs them. And they're able to like basically like burn down like this little like area with the spiders. So back with Chaol and Yrene, they like go back to like from this little trip or whatever, and they're going through the information, or they're going to go through the information, but Chaol's room has been trashed, and all of the scrolls and texts but one has been stolen, which is like one Yrene hid in Chaol's boots. So Yrene like starts snapping on like the little like maid or whatever, like she's like, who are you? Where'd you come from? Like all these things. But Chaol's like, I don't think it was her. Like, it's good. So Yrene goes to the Torre because she wants to talk to Hafiza about the scrolls. And Hafiza shows her like this like locked case like in her office that has like all these books written with word marks. And she tells her that basically as like the healer or whatever they call it, she's like tasked with guarding them, and they can only be unlocked with the key that she always wears around her neck. So Yrene asks, like, is it possible for us to take these books to Aelin so she can read those word marks according to Chaol? But Hafiza is like, I'll consider it. I don't know. Hafiza tells her that apparently the Fae did once dwell on this continent, and they left like all of their knowledge of healing And basically, like, that is what formed the Torre Cesme. So after that, Yrene goes back to, like, the bathing pools, and, like, in the, like, pool area, there's, like, all of these, like, bells that are hung up by, like, previous healers. And she, like, finds her bell, she rings it, and she's, like, walking through or whatever, and she finds one of her distant relatives, like another tower. So, like, she was always, like, connected and supposed to be here. And she realizes that like, basically what she needs to do to, like, fix Chaol's wound. And, like, basically she's also been keeping, like, this, like, void in herself as well. And so she, like, needs to fix that as well. So the next morning she finds Chaol. He's in pain, can barely move, and it's like the darkness is coming back, even though he's like, I took a hot bath, and she's like, not heat. But also, like, the darkness is worse. So she's like, that's fine, like, I'm about to throw my all into this, and she does. So she, like, puts her all into that. He's like, Chaol literally, like, passes out, throws up, everything else. But, like, all these memories are coming out. So there's Aylin, like, sitting on, like, in a chaise lounge. And, like, he sees her. He has to, like, face all these memories. So he's, like, at first he's, like, hates her. And then he thinks about how, like, he feels like she made him dismiss his vows, which, like, no, you did that. Like, she didn't make you do, you did that. And then how, like, his heart, like, was broken, like, when she left for Winland. Then he sees Rowan, and how Aylin, like, just, like, glows in his presence, and how, like, they love each other, and how, like, he kind of hated Aylin for, like, wrecking his life and leaving him behind, while his life just kind of crumbled behind him, and she went off and found Rowan. But now he kind of understands, like, all of the decisions that Aylin made, and how, like, her path kind of strayed away from his, and she fell in love with Rowan, even though she didn't even, like, act on it out of respect for him, which, who gives a I would have disregarded Chaol to the highest nth of power. I would have been so far down Rowan's throat, it would have been sick. Chaol who? What? I'm sorry, never heard of him. Don't know who that is. Okay, anyways. So basically, like, Chaol's, like, coming, like, he's got closure about this whole thing. And now he's, like, thinking about his, like, issues with Nesryn and Yrene, and how he's, like, you know, dragging Nesryn along, even though he knows he doesn't want to be with her, and how he's pursuing a relationship with Yrene without, like, honoring Nesryn and, like, respecting her first. And he thinks of his promise to serve Dorian, and that's, like, the one promise he's never broken. And so he's, like, kind of holding on to that like a lifeline. And Irene's able to, like, find him in this darkness and pull him out. So when he comes back to consciousness, he can move completely. So he has, like, a tiny scar on his back, but there's no pain, no numbness, no exhaustion. And, like, they love each other. They have sex again. Everything's wonderful. Yada, yada, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, you know, if you decide that you want to come back home with me, like, there's a place on my ship, basically. So, basically, Nesryn and Sartak, when Borte came, they took him back to, like, the clans. They literally had to, like, save Falcon because he was in spider form and they were trying to kill him. And they're like, wait, no, not that one. But they, like, basically tell them all about the Vogue. And Sartak is basically, like, asking them if they will support them in the fight against Erewhon, which they all agree. And Nesryn tells Falcon about Lysandra. And she's like, I think that's your niece. And so he's like, okay, cool. Like, I'm going to go with you guys north. And then Nesryn gets a message from Chaol basically saying, like, we need you guys to come back right now. So Chaol tells Yrene about Aylin's past as Selena, which that's none of your damn business. Why are you telling my business? Why are you telling everything? I mean, is there anything you have not told? I mean, what have you not told? Anyways, and so he basically tells her how Aylin, like, burned the Vogue King out, the Vogue out of the King of Adarlan with, like, that ring, and how, like, Erewhon came back, and that makes Yrene kind of get a theory, and she's like, I think that the Vogue are parasites, and she's basically like, the healers are to treat the parasite.
And this is when I texted Dominique and was like, parasite, I've heard that before, and, you know, I was like, that sounds like the Asteri.
It does. So then Yrene decides that she needs to talk to Hafiza again. So, like, she's gonna go talk to her, but before they can go, Hussar comes in and is basically like, Queen Maeve's armada found and attacked Aylin. So they basically so that's the part where we're at. So they are at the time where Maeve and Aelin and them all fight, and they capture Aelin. But she tells them how, like, Rowan's, like, cousins basically all turned on Maeve, and Aelin. Well, they don't know that Aelin was captured. They saw Aelin leave going north, which we know is Lysandra. So Chaol's like, great, like, okay, cool, like, that's what's up. Aelin was victorious. That's great. And then, like, Hussar's like, apparently Aelin has a lot of friends because there was the Silent Assassins and Manon Blackbeak and Galen Ashriver and all these people, like, showed up. And then Hussar says, oh, by the way, Aelin did also send me a letter weeks ago asking for help. And Chaol's like, well, what did she promise you? And she's like, a better world. You know what, Hussar? Get fucked. Like, honestly, like, I don't like Hussar. So there's that. So then Yrene and Chaol are like, okay, let's go find Hafiza. And they're like, hey, where's Hafiza? Everybody's like, she's in her office. She's in her office. She's in her office. She hasn't come out. Okay, well, she's not in the office. The door's open. And then they look and they see the key that she was just showing Yrene that is, like, protected. It's on the floor. So they're like, okay, there's no other way out of here. But then Yrene remembers that there used to be these tunnels under the Torre through the library that were sealed off. And so that's what she thinks is how the Vogue are even getting in the first place. So they go down there and they figure out who is under the mask. They find the villain. It's Duva. It's one of the siblings. Yep. The pregnant one, by the way.
Did not expect that at all.
So she's holding Hafiza hostage, and essentially what happened is she married this prince recently, and the King of Adarlan and Duke Parrington sent her a ring as a wedding present. So as soon as they put the ring on, she was possessed by a Vogue. And Tumalin, the sister that suicide, was the only one who knew. And so Duva's basically saying, yeah, I killed her. I pushed her off the balcony because she was on to me. So she did not commit suicide. She was murdered. And so basically she says that the Vogue, the Vogue inside of Duva calls Yrene Silba's heir, basically saying she has the power of the god Silba. And she says this is why Maeve surrounds herself with healers in Doranel, because they're a natural barrier against the Vogue kings. And basically says, like, the Vogue intend to return to Aurelia and they want to take Yrene, and basically says, like, you'll serve a special purpose for Erewhon. And she's like, well, why would I agree to do that? And there she's basically like, I'm going to kill Hafiza if she doesn't, like, if Yrene doesn't put on this ring, basically. And the Duva goes to, like, blast Yrene with magic, and Chaol jumps in front of it with his back newly healed and takes all of it. And she just keeps blasting him in the back, and she completely shatters Chaol's spine. He completely loses movement, and he's literally, like, on the brink of death. And so then, like, Duva starts chasing Yrene. And so she uses, like, all the self-defense that she, like, learned. But she, like, almost kills her. She has a dagger, but she's like, the one thing that I was always taught is that we don't kill, like, we heal people. So she does not kill her. Plus, Duva is also pregnant. And, like, she ends up, like, falling down, like, these stairs, like, all this terrible stuff with a baby in her. So she basically, like, doesn't kill her. And then Nesryn and Sartak, like, show up because they got the message. And Hafiza uses her magic to basically put the Vogue and put Duva in a sleep. So Nesryn rushes over to Chaol, and so does Yrene, and he's literally, like, dying. And Irene's, like, begging, like, we have to save him. And she hears, like, a voice, which is the god of Silba, and is basically like, you know, it's going to be a cost to save him. And so basically all of the healers kind of, like, put their hands together and they channel their power to save him. And I get my least favorite trope, one of them, which is a life tie, and I don't like these. So they heal Chaol, and everything, like, he's healed. Like, the scar on his face is gone. But there was a cost. And so he's like, what was the cost? What did you just do? So essentially, Irene's life is now tied to Chaos. And I'm like, SJM, you sure love to do that. And I sure hate it every single time. So basically, if Yrene dies, or if one of them dies, the other one will die. Number two, on, like, a good day, if Irene's, like, fully charged, then he'll be good. He'll be able to walk, whatever. But if she's, like, tired, weak, then he'll probably have to be in his chair. So Chaol's grateful. He's, like, you know, thankful for all of this. And they leave. So then him and, like, Nesryn have a little chat. They're like, hey, I see you. You see me. You're with Sartak. I'm with Yrene. Great. Don't know why we even had to talk about that, because that was clearly already understood. So Sartak basically calls the Khagan and all of his siblings in to see Duva. And, like, Argan is still like, no. It's right in front of him. She literally starts like seizing and like is possessed because Yrene starts like working on her. And she's actually able to get the Wordstone ring off and kill the parasite. And so Duva like comes to, and Yrene tells him that the baby is fine as well and will live. So the Khagan tells Yrene like basically like, what do you want in return for saving my daughter? And he tells her she can have anything, and so she just asks for a favor. She wants him to aid them in the war in Adarlan. So that's what she got. Meanwhile, Sartaq goes out, talks to Nesryn, and is basically like, hey, I'm going to be coming with you. Like, I'm bringing 1,000 Rukin. But, oh, by the way, my dad said I'm next in line. So there's that. Also, I like you. I already said that I loved you. You see me, I see you. Yay. So there's that. So Nesryn claims a rook. She is going to have her own rook to fly. And her aunt and uncle sent her a message, and that her dad and sister and nieces and nephews come. So they go and see them. And Sartaq he comes to see her there, and basically like he talks to her dad about his plans to like take the Rukin or whatever, and basically says he's doing it because he loves his daughter. And he basically says that his dad was like, you can't marry like a common born woman if you're going to be the Khagan. And so he was like, okay, then I won't be the Khagan. And that's when his dad was like, okay, now you're the Khagan. So they're going to be together. And then a couple weeks, we jump ahead in a couple weeks, and they're heading back to Aurelia. Yrene and Chaol are like obviously on a boat together. They have 300 healers, 1,000 of the Khagan ships filled with all of Caution's like soldiers, and there's 1,000 Rukin. And while they're on this trip, Yrene and Chaol get married, and she finally shows him the note that she carries around, and he immediately recognizes this handwriting, and he starts crying, and she's like, what's up? And he tells her like, it's always Aelin. It's always Aelin. Like, she's so far ahead and she doesn't even know it. Like, she didn't know, obviously, any of that when she did that, but, like, she's so far ahead. And that is where we kind of end, except we get an epilogue called Fireheart. And Aelin is entombed in an iron coffin with an iron mask and iron cuffs. And I can't remember that man's name, and we'll talk about it in the next book. And he is getting ready to torture her. The end.
Oh,
Sigh. So, what did you think?
I liked it. I think, honestly, though, my favorite kind of POV was Nesryn's.
Yeah.
I like Nesryn.
We could do without Chaol and Yrene. I like Yrene, but I still could do without all of their sections. I feel like for the most part, the most information we get is from Nesryn and Sartaq.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need them.
I mean, we got the like little parasite bit from Yrene, which
yeah. But other than that.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. Yeah, I liked it. I'm ready for this next one, though. Yeah, I'm ready, but not ready.
I bumped up my rating. I was a 3. I gave it a 3.5. Okay. Chaol does have a character arc. I still hate him.
I don't think it's enough of a character arc, though.
Yeah. Like, I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. Like, we talked about it before we recorded. He is toxic masculinity. Mm-hmm. He still very much is a crybaby. Like, he still gets in it. Like, and I told Keely this, like, I don't know that he loves Yrene. Like, I think that he would have married Aelin. I think he would have married Nesryn. I think that he is just like, oh, this woman is here, and whatever at this moment in time.
She's pretty, and she gives me attention, so.
Yeah, and I just, like, and what are you still mad at Aelin about? I don't understand the Aelin beef at all. Like, literally, from him, I don't ever understand it. You're mad at Aelin because she is Fae. Sorry, I can't control that. You sent Aelin to Winland. That was all you. she can't help it that she got over there and met the love of her life, that she was going to have to meet anyways, that she was destined to be with. Like, what is going on? You're mad that Aylin's smarter than you because she makes plans and figures things out, and because you have issues with, like, your own personal choices, and Aylin doesn't let that guilt, like, and it does, actually, but, like, because she knows how to, like, still go about her day and, like, handle business, and you don't. Like, that's literally what it is. Like, what is the thing with Aylin? Like, I don't get it.
I saw something which I was watching it, and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't be watching this yet. But it was, I think it was on TikTok. They were recording, like, a podcast or whatever, and they were talking about how they think Chaol is, like, prejudiced against Faye.
Yeah, no, he is. He is. Like, you are, and it's like, this is why he's the Matt Donovan. Like, you benefit from magic all the time and then still have an issue with it. Like, you can't be that way. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, don't save his ass. Like, don't let him pee in the wheelchair. And I just, Yrene, like, I don't, there's just better men.
Yeah.
But so happy for Nesryn.
Yes.
Yeah. Antarctic. That's beautiful. Love that. So happy to be going to Kingdom of Ash. We're going back over there. So, thoughts and theories. We have Aylin in a coffin. What are we gonna do? How are we getting her out of here?
I have no idea.
I cannot wait for you to read that. I cannot wait to talk about that. I can't wait to send you TikToks about it. That is what I cannot wait. We have Lorcan down bad at the end of the last book. I don't know. We've got Lysandra playing Aylin,
which I find quite devastating. I don't know. Not just for the fact that they have to do that. I don't know. It's sad.
Yeah. We've got witches against witches.
Which is cool. I like that.
What else do we have? I mean, we have, obviously, Nesryn and all them coming. Any death predictions?
No, because I don't even want to think about that. I'm so scared.
That's fine. We're getting more Dorian. Dorian gets spicier.
I love Dorian.
We love spicy Dorian.
Love Dorian.
So, backing up a minute, Rhys. Yes. People think that Rhys is, if not Vogue, part Vogue, because he does that. Like, he's literally Maeve.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, come on, SJM, give us some more books, because we are missing some ACOTAR books here. I don't think I can, like, I think I can just go ahead and say it. I don't care. They basically are the Asteri. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. They're world walkers. They've been in all the worlds.
The gate, or the portal, or whatever they said.
They were Daglin in ACOTAR. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And as soon as I started having a feeling. I was like, this is starting to sound familiar. And as soon as she said parasite, I was like, yep.
Yeah.
Asteri. They're Asteri.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what Rhys is. No one knows what Rhys is. No one knows what Azriel is either. Azriel's different. Why does Azriel have shadows?
You're right.
If I don't get an Azriel book, I'm going to come unglued. Azriel's everyone's number one book boyfriend, and we've never even heard more than 10 words out of him.
See, I love the book boyfriends that aren't like the main character. Because, like, I love me some Riddick too.
I do love Riddick. I'm an Arik girl for sure.
Oh yeah.
I do love Arik. Mm-hmm. I do love him. But yes, Azriel is. I'm like, if we don't get, because what is he? But yeah, so Rhys, I don't know. I don't know what he is. But that's very Maeve of you.
Yeah.
To get in people's minds like that, the Daglin, and what did they call them? I can't remember what they called them. Daemati.
Yes.
Daemati. Yeah, I don't know. So I feel like she has to, like, give us more. We need more theories. We need to bring things together more. But yeah, no, I'm super excited for Kingdom Ash.
Yeah, I need some more, like, interconnected world crossovers, and
yeah, it's gonna be good.
Because honestly, I love the theory, the Bryce Azriel
I
theory.
know.
I love that.
I love that too. I just am not a Hunt. Like, I'm not a Hunt.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever.
I mean, he's cool, but like, yeah, I'm just like, whatever. Like, I'm not like in love with Hunt. Like, I still don't, I don't feel sold on it like I do on others.
Yeah, but I love the Bryce and Azriel, like, please.
And I want to know what's going on with Cassian and Nessa because there's more there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But, yeah, I can't wait. Kingdom of Ash, because there's more there too. So, we'll be able to talk about that. So, I'm so excited. Okay, do we have reviews?
I will get some. Let's see. Oh, well, less than 1% are 1 stars. And there have been 840,000 ratings.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
So we will start with our 5 stars. Oh no. You're going to hate this one.
Oh my gosh.
So this is 5 stars. The world's biggest Chaol defender has just risen from the ashes, and it's me.
Oh God.
Dang, why are these all so long?
There's like not gonna be a tiny one.
Why are all of these saying like Chaol is my favorite character?
How? How? Did you fall and bump your head? Did you fall and bump your head? You could not. Out of all of these characters, Chaol?
Like this is 5 stars. Chaol is and always will be my favorite character in the series. No one is more deserving of having such in-depth character development, redemption, and healing. I can't think of a better character for the readers to go on such an emotional journey with. It makes me so unbelievably happy to once again see him happy. So yeah.
Disgusting.
So a lot of them are
I'm glad that
Chaol
y'all got
stands.
this one book. There are a lot of them. First of all, I don't like charcoal. That's why I started calling them anyways. It's charcoal.
Oh
Chaol.
gosh. Okay. So 1 star. Plot, pretty slow and boring. Romance, made me want to die. Representation, offensive per usual. Chaol is dead to me. I can't believe SJM killed him. Oh, okay. Anyways. Yrene, basic but better than Aelin and Feyre.
Whoa.
Nesryn, my new
Slow
girlfriend.
down, Savannah.
Nesryn, my new girlfriend and best character in this book.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa there.
Yeah.
Okay. I disagree with all. So that's fine. Just do not read reviews from now on. Okay, cool.
This another 5 or 1 star. This whole book on bloody Chaol. To think I used to like this character. Yeah, he's the absolute worst. A self-righteous, hypocritical, angry, moronic, self-involved, cheating, disloyal, hissy fit, throwing effer. Nesryn and Sartak were the only parts that were remotely interesting. At least their relationship wasn't too forced and in your face like nauseating Yrene and Chaol.
Yes. Whoever wrote that. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Hats off. Yes, I approve of that message. Okay. Well, that is that. Sidebar. Kendall just finished Keep It in the Family. She said,
I've been waiting for her.
Were you shocked? She said yes and mad. I was like, he's sick in the head. She said, I hate the damn book. All right. Our next book is Saving Noah by Lucinda Berry.
And hold on to your butts if you have not read it yet, because
I have not.
I'm
also broken on the inside, though. So the things that are supposed to make me sad normally don't. But we'll see.
I was angry.
Oh, well, that might work.
So I almost threw my Kindle.
Oh, well.
On the last chapter.
Okay. It's short. I'm looking forward to that. So
yeah, I read it in a day.
Yeah, I'm going to fly through that. So that's next. So shifting gears. But we will be finishing this out next month. So I think that is motorcycles. I think that is all that we have. So we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.